ESPN, Temple guy, not for nothing. I think he wanted to see a lot of the same stuff as well. This is what Kevin Agandi had to say after the game when tweeting about it, and I think we're all on the same page here. Eagles showed growth and progress on offense, and that's all we can ask. Can we also have a defensive coordinator who is not afraid to play aggressive and avoid a charming soft coverage? Yeah, I think we can all get on the same page.
Charming soft, I love it. That is the perfect way to describe the Eagles defense today and pretty much every game this season. Charming soft coverage.
Welcome back, live post-game show, 6abc.com, as well as the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Mark Farzetta, Derek Gunn, Devin Caney with you. Coming up, John McMullen will join the show. We're exclusively presented by Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the live show. Go for the win. Ladies and gentlemen, first on live post-game show, we're going to hear a couple of minutes from Nick Sirianni's opening remarks from his press conference after the Eagles' 27-24 loss at the hands of the LA Chargers.
With the official about the 2-minute warning after that 1st and 15 play, what was that about?
After the
first and 15, they had the play action to the tight end.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually I was on them a couple times, so I'm not really sure which one you're talking about. But yes, it's just the heat of the game. Sometimes is you kind of that happens sometimes. I always understand that the officials have a very tough job, and their job is hard too. In that. You know, and it's kind of how it goes for full circle. I'll recognize that, even though sometimes I'll get on them, but they have a tough job, and they did their job, and they did.
That was about.
I don't actually. I'm sorry.
What was his explanation? It appeared that the offensive lineman, it was an illegal offensive lineman downfield. What was the official's explanation?
I thought it was. They thought it wasn't, and so I mean that's the way it goes sometimes. With that play, we've actually, as our offense, we know we've made strides as on penalties as our team. We've actually stopped running that play because we didn't think we could get that off without our guys being downfield. And so that was my conversation with them. And I have to look at the tape. And again, I know they have a hard job, and so I'm not here to criticize them at all. They said they were 2 yards downfield, which is legal, and so I got to trust that. In that.
On that Chargers final drive, what would you have liked your defense to do differently?
Well, obviously you want, they kept them in the 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Obviously you want to be able to get the stop, and I thought they did a good job of not jumping off sides. Chargers, I thought they might kick the field goal after they went the no-brainer, but they didn't, and hats off to them. They executed. But anytime they convert on a short yardage, I mean, I know that the percentages are high on short yardage. I'm not sure exactly what they are league-wide, but obviously you just want to get a stop in that scenario. And so I'll have to look at the tape of the execution, the call and everything like that. But you just want to get a stop there in that scenario and give the ball back to the offense. I mean, that's the name of the game, and that's what you want to happen in that scenario.
For completion percentage for Justin Herbert, did Jonathon mix it up enough to your satisfaction?
Obviously, anytime you play a quarterback like Justin Herbert, there's no surprise. I think he's a good quarterback. We all know he's a good quarterback. You got to be on your A game, and you got to be, and it starts with us as coaches. And so, and I'm not going to say, Jonathon anything, because that's, my name's on that, right? So whatever happens out there on that field, my name's on. Offensively, defensively, I'm not the offensive coordinator, I'm the head coach. So, but again, it's all of us together. So it's myself. It's first myself getting the right calls and putting the players in position, then Jonathon, and then the players executing. And so, of course, again, when a guy comes away, he's 84%. You're going to say that we didn't do our job, right? And so we just got to be better. Again, I'll have to go look at the tape and look at all the calls, but obviously not good enough starting with myself and by the defense there with the pass defense.
How did you feel like Jalen handled himself in that fourth quarter drive, the one that tied?
Yeah, he was.
He was great, I think. I think that's what he's been going through there.
That was pretty good, man. That is Nick Sirianni a ventriloquist? Man, he did a lot of talking and his lips weren't moving.
He's just so stone-faced after a loss like that. But I give him a lot of credit. He was pretty honest, especially with the play he was talking about where the cameras caught him pretty fired up on the sidelines. I believe that was in the third quarter of the game. It was a 10-10 game at the time, and I guess he thought his guys his guys were upfield, and he was arguing with the official about it. And he's pretty honest and open about it. And I know, Devin, I think you agree with him on that.
On what?
As far as being angry at that particular play.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think, well, we didn't see him moving his lips in that press conference, but I think I know he talked about Flowers and Mark, I feel like you always bring up Nick Sirianni's first press conference, but I do feel like we're seeing him become a little bit more of a head coach. I hope I don't take that back starting like next week. I feel like every time I say something like that, I'm like, and we're bringing it back. We're just kidding. But no, I do agree with him on that.
And then the other thing was, other than just Jalen Hurts playing great, one thing I would have liked a little bit more information on, and the question was asked of Nick Sirianni about what do you want to see Jonathon Gannon do on that final drive, or the last possession it was of the Chargers. And that's where I think he got a little tight-lipped, as to be expected. I don't know too many head coaches that are going to be like, well, how about this? How about not be terrible? How about that? Like, I'm not expecting them to say that. But I think he does want him to be more aggressive. And Devin, you brought up this point many times before when talking about how he did lay into and lean into a guy like Jonathon Gannon for his play calling earlier in the season, for not being aggressive enough and realizing that that's a way they need to play more as a defense. And going into this particular week, Jonathon Gannon was asked during his press conference about his relationship with Nick Sirianni. And he said that one of the things that's so great about him is that he treats you like a human being, not just a coach. And Sirianni, he highlighted a conversation where Sirianni called him. He didn't get into specifics as to what type of game it was or which game it was. But Sirianni said, Gannon said that Sirianni called him just to say, hey, man, how you doing? Like, this isn't to ream me out. This isn't to say you need to do a better job. Just how you doing? I don't know what the conversation is after this game, but I'm going to go ahead and assume it's going to be more like the game you saw against Kansas City, for instance. Or like you saw against the Raiders, for instance, where you're not exactly going to be tough. You're not going to be being sweet and charming. If anything, you're going to be more in the tough love variety. Like, what are you doing on that last drive where Justin Herbert was allowed to do anything he wanted to do in that particular game? So that's something that I think we all want to see. And real quick, Kevin Agandi, ESPN, Temple guy, not for nothing. I think he wanted to see a lot of the same stuff as well. This is what Kevin Agandi had to say after the game when tweeting about it, and I think we're all on the same page here. Eagles showed growth and progress on offense, and that's all we can ask. Can we also have a defensive coordinator who is not afraid to play aggressive and avoid a Charmin soft coverage? Yeah, I think we can all get on the same page.
Charmin soft, I love it. That is the perfect way to describe the Eagles defense today and pretty much every game this season. Charmin soft coverage.
Yeah, I could not agree more. In all honesty, Gunnar, we've seen defenses play passive in the past. I can't remember too many defenses that were this passive. Like, even Jim Schwartz, who wasn't blitzing for all those years, was still getting pressure somehow from his defensive line. This year, it seems like we're not even getting that.
Well, we're not getting it consistently, that's for sure. And I don't know why. Because even with just Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, they should be able to collapse the inside of that pocket on a more frequent basis, and it hasn't happened. So it's a hit or miss. They're like bullies when it comes to playing inferior opponents. Well, the only real inferior opponent they've played this year was the Detroit Lions. But when you have a team that can stand up to them, is all of a sudden your key players disappear. Darius Slay, Mike Williams didn't kill him for a big overall day. He killed him on that one pass play, but you've got to have something in your back pocket that when I, as the opposition, sit down and watch every game that you play this year, I'm not going to see a certain facet of what you're going to throw out there. And I think this defense has become way too predictable in situations. And if you have two things, if you have a quarterback who can get the ball out in a decent amount of time, less than 3 seconds, and if you have some decent pass catchers, you can have your way with this Eagles defense. And I can't wait to see at the end of the season what the overall number is going to be in terms of quarterbacks completion percentage against this defense. It could be mind blowing at that particular time just how bad it's really been. Now the scary part is if any of their frontline secondary players go down for any great length of time, well, what you're putting in there is more inexperience, which means it could be even worse than what we've seen up to this point.
Oh boy.
Horrifying. That's horrifying. That's a horrifying
Horrifying
thought.
is the only word for it. Yeah.
And I'm just here to give you positivity.
Mm-hmm. No,
sunshine and rainbows.
That's what I call you, the Gunner Sunshine, basically, all the time. That's kind of how we are.
Hey, don't say that publicly, please.
I did talk to somebody, Gunner. Devin, you'd love this. I talked to somebody recently who was talking to me about Gunner, and I said, yeah, just make sure you offer him a pumpkin spice latte because that's what gets it going for Gunner.
Go.
That's what makes his day.
There you go.
Gunner, you know what? While we're on the subject, really quick, good friend Marshall Harris, he used to, Mark, you probably know him as well, has for weeks been bugging me to ask you about your nickname, and that is Mr. Potato Head. Do you have any comment on that?
Really?
Every week after week, I forget. And then he's like, did you ask him about it? Did you ask him? So here we are live on air. I'm asking you about Mr. Potato Head.
Number one, I will not answer that question. Number two, nor will I tell you what I call Marshall in retaliation. This is a family program. And so I'm just going to keep it clean from this point on.
Kid show.
But I will be giving Mr. Harris a call either tonight or tomorrow to discuss this further away from the airwaves. And I know when I tell him that you brought it up on this show, he is going to be crying laughing. But so
no, gotcha. Understood.
I love it.
Coming up, we are going to there was an unfortunate incident, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But John McMullen will join the show coming up in just a minute as live post-game show rolls on. But I will tell you also that this show is exclusively presented by Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the live show. Go for the win. John McMullen will when we return on live post-game show.